All right, so a little introduction about me. Again, my name is Ariana Ponce. As a little background, I did receive my bachelor's from public health from UC Merced, and I'm a part of the Lucha Tobacco program under the Health Education Council. So this stands for Latinos United Against the Habit and Addiction to Tobacco. And a fun fact about me is that I have an aspiring TikTok famous corgi. All right, so just to quickly do a quick little overview about, who HEC is, what Lucha is. So HEC is a local nonprofit here in Sacramento, and we work really closely with the community and, organizations and community leaders, much like yourself. And then as far as the Lucha Tobacco program, we have three main goals. So the first one, cessation, just making sure community members have access to tools and resources if they do want to quit smoking, and then also ensuring that we are educating the community members on smoke-free housing and the dangers of secondhand smoke. And then lastly, flavored tobacco, which we'll talk a little bit about today as it relates to the industry's marketing tactics. All right, so that brings me to a little bit about the history of advertising to youth and minorities. So as we can see on the advertisement to the far left, this is something that they used to do, very commonly seen with printed media. We don't really see this anymore because we have, such a heavy reliance on the internet and social media. But this is just an example of some of the tactics that they used to use and still implement into their social media marketing strategies that we see now as far as their advertisements. So as mentioned earlier, the one on the left is one that we've seen on printed media. So an ad found like in a magazine. And with this, they would use a lot of targeted advertising, which basically means that they would gear their ads to, resonate with a certain category or population of people in order to try to buy them or try to get them to start using their product, right? So for this one specifically, they have a mom and a small child, and they're basically advertising that they purchased their dad cigarettes, right? And so this is kind of what they were doing behind, like the thought process behind this was to get consumers to think that cigarettes weren't as dangerous as they really were, right? Because they have a mom and a small child. How can something that can be so harmful, be so closely related to a mom and her small child? And so they still do this. They will sometimes include people of color in their ads to kind of, make sure that resonates with people, because we know that representation matters. So if I see someone that looks like me using a product, I'm going to think that, it's applicable to me, or it's something that I can use or I can try. So that's the industry's thought process behind that. And then most recently, we've seen that they start using a lot of flavors to try and, use their advertisements towards children and youth and young adults. So a lot of this is geared towards hooking kids onto tobacco, because they know that if they have products, if they have packaging that resembles sweets and fruits and candies that are very popular, then, most likely youth and young adults are going to start using these. So some of these flavors include like unicorn poop and cotton candy and bubble gum, flavors that adults aren't going to be reaching for, but definitely, are enticing for youth and young adults. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about, these deals and discounts that they've also been implementing. So the tobacco and nicotine companies like to offer their consumers deals and discounts so that they lead them to purchasing more of their products. And so that picture on the right is actually an ad that I found on Instagram. And it was advertising their e-cigarette as a bundle with face mask and a coupon. And so who tries to market off a deadly pandemic and the lack of PPE and face masks and resources during the pandemic? Well, the tobacco industry, of course, which is really unfortunate. So there's been an increase in advertising and tobacco product giveaways that include face masks and toilet paper and hand sanitizer in light of COVID-19, and kind of taking advantage of the entire situation, which is really unfortunate. And that brings me to more of that social media use that they're using in order to, market their products and include their advertising. And so we're seeing this huge shift towards the reliance on social media because a lot of people are using it, right? So we have youth who, 90% of teens say that they have a social media. Most of them have at least one account. We also have minorities who are, heavily relying on the use of social media to get their news or to stay connected with family and friends. So this is something that we're seeing. It's a very, popular right now. And of course, the tobacco industry has taken note of that and shifted their gears a little bit more so they're able to, again, just market their products in this new avenue. And how and why are these minorities and youth being targeted? So again, because they're using a lot of social media, it's a perfect outlet for the tobacco industry to market their products. Again, there's the flavors, there's the social media, because with youth, there's this potential to create an addiction for someone really early on and ultimately just have them as a consumer or a customer for the rest of their life. And then for the Hispanic Latino population, we're seeing that they're saying that they're more influenced by e-cigarettes advertising via the internet and social media versus traditional advertising, so like our printed media. And for Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and African Americans, this is pretty much the same thing that we're seeing, right? So they're being influenced more by e-cigarettes, by their internet, social media use. And so now that we look at the statistics, we're seeing that over 200,000 high school students currently use cigarettes and other tobacco products, with a third of them most likely dying prematurely because they have started to use smoking products. And we know that the 5 US smokeless tobacco manufacturers, so like the 5 biggest ones, spent nearly 658.5 million on advertising alone, which is a crazy amount. And so that was just in 2018. So it's likely gone up since then, especially now as we continue to move towards a more online, platform of, the way that we're doing things and living and working and going to school. And so what is our takeaway from this? We are seeing that the engagement with online tobacco marketing represents a risk factor for adolescent tobacco use. So what is a risk factor? It's essentially like a component that is associated with an increased risk for something. So in this case, tobacco use. So the more you're seeing it online, the more you're interacting with it, the more likely you are going to be to, think about using it or want to try or learn more about it. And so I want to talk a little bit about their marketing strategy as far as their ads. So for one, they rely heavily on product promotion, which is the way that they inform or persuade their target audience. And so they do this by offering, again, those deals, those discounts, the free trials, the online purchase options that are discreet or have discrete packaging, which can be really enticing for people who might not want others to know that they're taking this up, or, if you live with your parents and you're not wanting to let them know that you're, purchasing this online. And then they also rely on product reviews. So this can be seen through testimonials of people who use their products. Maybe they switched from smoking cigarettes to e-cigarettes, and they're supporting this consensus or this idea that the tobacco industry has created, which basically, says that e-cigarettes are, quote unquote, safer than cigarettes, even though that is not the case. And then there's also this idea of like product customization, which is more geared towards like the amount of colors these e-cigarettes are offered in, the amount of flavors, over 15,000, by the way, which is an insanely high number of, options for these products. But again, they're doing all of this because they want to make themselves more appealing for people, especially as they have to broaden their marketing strategies. And then the last one, this social and financial benefits of use. So we see that the tobacco industry does this through their e-cigarettes and how they have been designed to be discreet, small, and in some cases even disposable, and also just relatively cheap. Because they are discreet, it also just allows for consumers to be able to use them virtually anywhere. And so the more that they create these products and, edit them to be marketed towards their consumers. Sorry, that's the corgi that I was talking about earlier. But yeah, and so I want to quickly go over some of the tactics that we're seeing now. And this is more on the social media platform. So they're creating this sense of lifestyle and community, this like glamorous community, and it can be seen through some of their hashtags like hashtag Vape Nation and hashtag You Decide. And so these tags have been used millions of times on images, on videos, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. And so this really makes it a lot easier for youth to be exposed to the tobacco industry, especially when these images aren't censored and they don't contain any kind of warnings as far as, tobacco can cause these health-related disparities, effects, diseases and illnesses. And then they also start to mimic measures that have been implemented for safety. So in the bottom right image, at first glance, it looks like the warning sign that you would see on a tobacco product. It'll usually say something along the lines of important, contains nicotine, or contains tobacco, or can cause cancer, something like that. But now what we're seeing is that some of these like brands are starting to use that and like twist it in their own way, where instead of having like these actual warning labels that are important to have to, inform people that what they are consuming may be harmful, they're now using it to glamorize their products. So like this one, vaping blue smells good and contains flavor, no ashtrays needed. And so that's just another tactic that they're using. And then additionally, in this day and age, it is common to see company ambassadors or influencers, and the tobacco industry has taken hold of this, idea and essentially use them to help market their products to their following, who may look up to them or who may consider trying out the product themselves just because someone that they look up to is starting to use it. And I want to quickly bring this back to why is this a social justice issue and why we should care. So research shows that more tobacco retailers exist in areas with larger Black, Hispanic, and low-income populations. And so communities with these minorities and low-income populations are targeted when it comes to stores that sell these products as well as their advertising. So communities with higher income and education are more likely to be covered by smoke-free laws, or just laws that say, or policies that say, there's only, a certain amount of retailers that can be in this area, things like that, things that will ultimately protect the community from these harmful products. And there's no reason why communities where secondhand smoke is such a big problem shouldn't have these similar policies. And so tobacco use also disproportionately affects low-income communities as well as racial and ethnic minorities. They're also seen to have higher rates of smoking. And then again, this just all relates back to the fact that the tobacco industry has targeted these communities and, ensured that their advertisements and marketing strategies are geared towards them. And these are a few resources that are really helpful. There's the Truth Initiative, which has amazing information. And additionally, there's the Story of Inequity. I really like this one. It goes more in depth as far as how the tobacco industry has impacted each, minority group and how they've directly marketed towards them and how we're seeing those effects now, even to this day. So that one's a really good read. And then that concludes my presentation. I'm not sure if we're doing questions after or if we're leaving it to the end.
No, you can do it. It's however you would like. So okay. If there are any questions specifically about this first presentation, please go ahead. You can just unmute yourself. You should be able to unmute yourself now, or use the hand raise feature. Or you can put something in the chat and then,
I just wanted to say that it was a really great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, super informative.
Yeah, I really liked the connection to social justice too, and
Mhm.
looking at it through an equity lens. I think it's really important. All right. So if you want to pass it on to your next presenter.
Yes. Lynn, do you
Yeah.
have access to everything? All right. All right. Do you want to
Yes.
introduce yourself?
Yeah, let me try to share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Lynn and I'm a communications coordinator at Health Education Council. We are a nonprofit organization based in Sacramento, and I work directly with the Healthy Schools team. And today I will be talking about analyzing food ads with you all today. So the main essential question for this presentation is, how do marketing techniques influence the way we eat? To fully answer that question, I'll be going into the background of this presentation and talk more about how the way the story of food is told can affect the choices that we make. And then I'll go more in depth with the food marketing techniques that companies use to talk about the different types of methods they use to get customers to buy their products, specifically food products. So before that, let's take a moment to just think about it. The curriculum that this presentation is based on points out that people are hardwired to crave sweet, fatty, and caloric foods. So you guys can just raise your hand or just answer in the chat or whatever. What do you think that means? How do food companies use this fact to get more of their foods, and why might they want us to eat more of these foods? And there's really like no wrong answer or right answer.
And anyone that answers the question gets an extra prize. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm also willing to put myself out there if that breaks the ice.
If you want, yeah.
So what it means to be hardwired
Yes,
to crave those.
Mhm.
So just a guess is that it becomes part of your, I don't know if saying like your biology, but like if you eat foods like this, high fat or sweet foods, that then your body becomes used to that, and then your body starts to automatically crave those
Mhm.
things.
That's
Oh,
a
good.
good
We have yay. So it did break the ice. Thank you for this.
Oh, yay.
Okay.
So the chat, Jonathan says that we like to eat sweets. Hold on, I lost it. We like to eat sweets and fats, so it seems like that's what we like. Okay. Amani says, I just think this means to have bad food like sweets maybe, and that's what we enjoy. Jonathan says, if we get used to the food, then we'll buy more of it. That's a good point. And Jessica says, because it tastes delicious. That is very true. And then Azalea says, companies try to advertise foods that seem cool or over the top, but are also unhealthy, and this helps them make a profit. So these are all really good answers. And then I think Monica, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I was gonna say that for me, I'm like a visual person, so I'll eat my fun food, my chips and my cookies. And then if I see the bag or the package, it's always looks like really colorful and bright and exciting. And my brain says, ooh, cookies and chips and things that are my fun food, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I kind of relate to that too. When I go to stores, I look for the packaging and see which one's like really pretty in my eyes, and then I try to like get that more often like than other brands. So I guess
And
it
isn't
really
it funny that
person.
they put those ones right where you can see them?
Yes,
And then the
on
like
front.
not pretty ones like up top or maybe way below.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Right at
but-
eye level, huh?
So basically, what this means is that like we as humans crave these because they are a really good source of energy, and our bodies are like naturally hardwired for survival to crave these sweet and fatty and high caloric foods because we want this for energy, you know? And so we have this reaction of wanting these types of foods more, and it releases like a type of chemical in your brain that says like, hey, this is really good and this makes me really happy. And then food companies use this fact to try to sell more of their products to make some money off of us. That's why they want us to eat more of these types of foods, and they try to like milk us out of, try to get money. And then we can go more into the background. So each year, food companies in the US spend billions of dollars just to promote their products. And they use like a variety of different advertisements and marketing techniques to influence our own food choices, like encouraging us to switch brands or simply to just buy more and eat more. And majority of the food ads are for highly processed foods, including fast foods, convenience foods, candy, sweetened cereals, snacks, and soft drinks. And these companies actually use very aggressive and sophisticated marketing techniques to influence our food choices, mostly targeting children and youth. And according to a report by the Center for Science and the Public Interest, one of the most important factors in rising childhood obesity and poor diets is actually food marketing. So as it states, while they are not intentionally trying to undermine children's health, there is no disputing that the goal of food marketing is aimed at children is to influence their own food choices. So this is why we're having this presentation, just to like make it more aware that we need to have like the youth and students and just basically everyone to learn how to navigate a world filled with advertising and consumer marketing to make healthier food choices for everyone. And then here's another question. So think back to all the food ads you've seen so far, whether that's like in real life when you like walk out anywhere or like on social media when you scroll through a post, like what do you see in these ads and how do they try to make you buy the foods they're selling? So for me, I could say like when I scroll through Instagram or something, I mostly see these ads looking very like the foods actually look so good and they have bright colors. Sometimes I see them on TikTok. Sometimes I see celebrities advertising these foods too, or like having catchy phrases or songs to like really get people to buy their foods. So what do you guys see?
Have a lot of Doja Cat selling me Taco Bell.
Oh my God, yes. I do see that a lot. Songs, colorful.
As someone who's like good at photography and stuff, people try to make the food look more appealing through photos and how they take the pictures. And then that's one of the main reasons that people try to advertise it and sell it to people.
Yes, they make the products look unrealistically appealing and then pair it with the trendy things. You see it, fun people and happy people enjoying themselves. They are put in nice packaging. Sometimes they have deals or special holiday flavors. These are really good answers. Sometimes I will see ads with big groups of people eating whatever the company is advertising and makes you think that many people are eating this food product. So it's okay if you do too. And then commercials that are like music videos. Yes, that's a big thing. So these are all really good answers. And then the food marketing techniques that some food companies actually use are these 4. These are just some of the very many. The first one being emotional appeal. Second one is product design and packaging. The third one is product placement. And the fourth one is point of sale. So we can go more in depth in the first one. It's emotional appeal. They try to use messages, imagery, and music to appeal to people's emotions. So ads that appeal to humor can trigger something memorable or positive for a person. Ads with social appeal gives reminders of fun, happiness, and friendship. And ads with endorsements like celebrities or trusted people gives credibility and trust. So these are example ads for generic food companies for emotional appeal. You can see that this company on the left is advertising their food using an endorsement appeal. They're trying to use BTS, the boy group, to sell their meals to people, which is a tactic to get people, especially like BTS fans, to buy them. And then in the middle, you can see the soda company try to use this social appeal. You can see people are gathered together, they're having fun while drinking this type of soda. And there's a phrase on the ad itself that says, choose happiness, which essentially is trying to tell people that, hey, if you choose our drink, you're gonna have fun and be happy. And then the one on the right is Taylor Swift. She's being used to by the soda company to sell the products, which again is an endorsement appeal to try to get people to buy more of the products because they see their favorite person with it. And then this is the second marketing technique. It's product design and packaging, mostly focusing on the colors, the design, logo, shapes, and imagery behind like the brand and the actual food itself or the packaging. And the best colors for food branding are actually warm colors like red, orange, and yellow. And they can also focus on the portion size too, like king size or duo packs, or having a catchy brand message or slogan. These are some examples. So overall, you see that most of these brands are sticking to colors such as red, orange, and yellow, which is pretty common for food brands because they generally symbolize energy and happiness and warmth, which are the most attractive colors to customers. The candy company on the upper left corner really tries to use colors to sell their products. They're mostly red, but they're also incorporating rainbow colors too. And their slogan is Taste the Rainbow, which is pretty catchy. The next company uses toys to sell their food. That's part of their packaging for this meal, and even uses like their meal boxes shaped in a creative way to appeal to children. And then this one on the right really tries to sell with their slogan, "You're not you when you're hungry." So it kind of ties back into the humor appeal, since they try to use like a picture that's pretty funny to sell their product. And their company also usually sells it in king size or dual pack. That's part of their packaging. And then this company has a slogan, "It's finger looking good," and the main color is usually red. This company usually comes in dual packs because it's part of their packaging. And they focus on yellow and orange colors. So overall, this marketing technique focuses on the actual product itself and the brand and how it looks like, and the logo and the slogan, and how it's like really catchy and memorable for people. So the third technique is product placement. These are ads that are placed in TV shows, movies, radios, magazines, billboards, and social media. Sometimes people advertise with hashtags on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, like especially influencers or the companies themselves. Sometimes companies develop Snapchat filters that promote their brands too. These are just a few examples, but on the side, you can see like companies created Snapchat and Instagram filters or geo filters just to promote their brands more. Here they're using celebrities to advertise their products on Super Bowl commercials on TV, where like a lot of people usually watch too. And these are some brands that are featured in TV shows. So Rick and Morty, this popular fast food brand, is featured on Rick and Morty for like a few minutes. And then waffle brands are featured on season 3 of Stranger Things. So these are like really subtle ways for companies to place their products in different medias for people to unconsciously crave and buy them later on. And last but not least, the fourth technique is called point of sale. So these are usually done to have people buy their products on the spot by placing them up front in their view or having like a big sale or promotion to attract them. And these can be like on shelf displays, on vending machines, free samples, displays at checkouts, or like the ends of the supermarkets, or having like a big sale sign or a promotion. These are some examples. You can see this company is having a buy one, get one free, just one you can buy for yourself and one to share with your friend or something. A 4 for $4, you get 4 items just for $4. You get an ice cream scoop for $1.31 on every 31st of the month. This company sells 60-cent boneless wings only on Mondays and Tuesdays, which sounds like a pretty good deal. And then this company sells their donuts and having them on display shelves like this. And it could be like in a store or something. So having sales or promotions actually can tempt people to buy more of their products, since it seems like a good deal for them to buy these products. And having like displays like this placed in stores really grabs their attention and wants to buy them once they're about to check out or something. Okay, so after hearing everything, which technique stood out to you the most, and which technique have you seen around the most? So for me, the one that stood out the most to me was emotional appeal, because I didn't realize it, but I do see a lot of celebrities selling products, and I didn't realize until now that they're trying to like get people the fans especially, just to try to get their foods. Because when I saw the BTS meal, I'm not a fan of BTS, but I know of them, and I was like, that's really interesting, and I want to try that. So I did actually go and get it. So that was like pretty successful for that company. But yeah, what about you all?
I definitely fell for the BTS
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, when that came out, I was like I'm a huge fan of BTS, so
Mhm.
that definitely was like a main huge success for them for me because it was like, okay, there they are. And then not gonna lie, when J Balvin's meal came out at McDonald's, that was another big thing that almost was a success because of like I'm the huge fan of J Balvin, and so it's like so celebrities being used in their advertising, that definitely, for me at least, that's one of the main ways that they can be successful for me is because of the use of celebrities.
Mhm. Mhm. Some things in the chat. Miley said, emotional appeal is the one that stood out the most to me, and the technique I've seen has been point of sale. Okay, that's pretty good. Azalea said, I haven't really thought about how certain company foods are placed in the most convenient part of the store. Yeah, so I see like a lot of people are saying more of emotional appeal and point of sale, which is pretty true. I do see a lot of point of sales everywhere, like especially in like on my phones when I like scroll through stuff. I do see ads for like certain companies just to like get me to buy, and then I actually do end up going later that day to buy that product because I know there's a sale going on. So they really try to get you. And we can do like a really quick activity. So take a look at this example ad right here. What marketing technique is apparent? And do you think you yourself have been influenced by this ad, and why or why not? I can take volunteers. And if you probably don't remember, the techniques were emotional appeal, the product design, point of sale, and product placement. Okay, in the chat, I see emotional appeal because they're using the color yellow, because they're sharing the fries, emotional because it is a heart. Okay, I can see that. Like this kind of does look like a heart, so it does show some emotional appeal. And the yellow, of course, I can see that it symbolizes friendship and love and just socializing. So that can be like a tactic to get people to buy this product. But do you think that you've been influenced by this ad, or why or why not? For me, kind of, I've been influenced to because I see the fries and I do see like the friendship symbolism in there. So it does make me kind of want to go out, but not to the point where I will actually go out and go buy it.
This
Okay.
this type of technique wouldn't actually influence me, and I don't think it has, even though I do like fries. And I see the hands make M for McDonald's, so I do kind of, so even though I see that stuff, that kind of technique wouldn't actually influence me personally.
That makes sense. I think Jessica says friendship and going to McDonald's with a friend, which makes sense. And then Ladrian says not really. So it just depends on each person. And then the second ad, take a look at this one, and what do you think is apparent, and do you think you've been influenced by it?
Can you remind us what the techniques are again? There's emotional, product placement.
And product design and point of sale.
This one actually, I think would probably be more like so far be the one to influence me, because of how it's designed, and how it's all centered around summer and beverages and cold to cool you off and all that kinds of stuff. I think that this one would be more inclined to influence me, and most likely probably has influenced me over the years.
Yes. So I can see in the chat, lots of people are saying product design, which is really like, that's the right answer. You can see like their bright colors, the summer outside the line, which appeals to summer fun, to buy these like really cold drinks to enjoy under the hot summer sun. I feel like this personally for me would influence me to try, because look at the colors. I'm like, it kind of makes you want to go out too. I don't know, like the vibes. And then these drinks seem really interesting too, so I would want to try them. I'm assuming they might be like new drinks that they're starting to sell in the summer too. So this is like a really good example of an ad. Okay, and then to conclude, we can just answer these following questions. How does marketing influence what we eat, and what's the connection between child obesity and food marketing? So for the first question, companies want to get the youth and young adults hooked on their brands early. So they will try to win over long life customers by using these different tactics at an early age. And then for the second part, what's the connection between childhood obesity and food marketing? So people's food choices are strongly impacted by the ads that they see, and poor diet increases the risk of chronic illnesses like heart disease and diabetes, which we are seeing early in the signs of like in the youth and in children as well. But yes, that is the end of my presentation. And if you guys have any like question, comments, and concerns, please feel free to say in the chat. And I have the survey right here. If you could all please like take a little quick time, a little break just to take it. You can scan it or enter this URL right here.
Can I ask, I hope that our participants have questions, but is there something that you could, let's see, like how we might proceed in the world, right? When we see the advertising and now we know that it's directed, toward us or toward teens and young adults, so that you kind of get hooked and then it can become a habit and then create long-term health issues, but kind of like a suggestion of what people can do when you notice, or like when you're going into a store, kind of, you told us what to look for, but what is something to maybe help, I don't know, ward off just the impulse?
That makes sense. For me personally, because before I would just impulsively buy like these products, but now after learning more about like the tactics behind from the food companies, I try to take a step back and just like think for a minute, like, do I actually need this product or do I just want it? And then if it ends up being a want, then I just kind of like tell myself not to buy it. But if I do need it, then I will buy it if I am like actually hungry, or if I'm with a friend and we're both hungry, But if I see it and it like triggers me to like impulsively buy it, I will not just do that, because I know better now after learning more about this. And I do have a younger sister too who's 10 years old, and I feel like she probably doesn't realize it as well. So just like educating like other people about like the actual tactics behind these could make them be more aware of it and then think more about their choices in the future. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys have filled out the quick survey. It's only like 3 questions, I believe. And then now that you can see how food companies market to have you buy their foods, we have a chef here today who will actually show you how to make simple and affordable recipes at home as opposed to buying fast foods. So Chef T will actually be demonstrating her recipes next. And I believe she is on this call.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so how do you make the screen bigger?
Okay, I think we can see you.
Okay.
Chef T. Yeah, we see you great, and we can hear you too.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chef T from Tomorrow's Kitchen, and I'm here in the beautiful break room at the Health Education Council. And today I'm going to show you 2 very quick and very easy recipes that will help you. They're healthy, they're time saving, money saving, and everything. And it also give you another outlook on the food versus advertising thing, because I know with me, one of the things that I look at when I see commercials is the fact that, first of all, whatever I get never looks the way it does on a commercial. And secondly, I tell them I can make that better at home. But most people won't say that unless they think they can cook and feel like they make it at home. So I'm here to give you some cooking tips and everything, so that even if you don't want to make that particular thing, you won't be as afraid or as nervous to get in the kitchen and try your hand at things. Okay, so today our first recipe is literally called a 3-can chili. And the same thing that makes this recipe good is what also makes it bad. Okay, because it's literally a chili made out of 3 cans. You have a can of corn, and it's just a can of regular kernel corn. The whole thing, if you wanted to measure up, because you can use canned corn, you can use frozen corn, you can use fresh corn, but you need approximately 2 cups of corn. And all this stuff is just going into a pot. And so we're going to put our corn in, you drain it. I have pre-drained it. And so you just take the corn, after you drain it, you put it in a pot. Secondly, it's a can of beans, any kind of beans, pinto beans, black beans, kidney beans, whatever kind of beans you like. And you drain them and rinse them. Usually when I'm making chili and I drain the beans, I don't rinse them because I like some of the bean flavor to actually be part of the chili broth. But because I was traveling with these, I decided to go ahead and drain them, because I don't know if you've ever paid attention to canned beans, but sometimes with the sauce on them or the liquid that they're stored in cans, and they get a little slimy, and I don't like that. But these for today, I just used regular pinto beans, and 1 can of pinto beans. I'm pouring that in there. Now, if you're going to make this recipe yourself and you don't want to use the canned products, it's 2 cups. 2 cups of beans, 2 cups of corn. Or think of it in your mind as equal parts of beans, equal parts of corn. So even if you decide to make it for all your buddies, you don't have to sit up there and try to figure out, well, if I'm going to make this and the recipe says it's feed 6 people and I need to feed 12 people, how many cans of stuff do I need to get? No, get a couple bags of corn, see it says on them how much they weigh or what's in there. They're usually 10 to 14 ounces or something. Sometimes it's a pound. Get you a pound of corn, and then just get you a pound of beans. If you use dry beans, remember to rinse them off first and let them soak overnight so you don't have to cook them as long. But then the other part of this is just a can of diced tomatoes. And the diced tomatoes, you're going to put in the pot, juice and all, because the juice is what's going to make your chili juice. So as you see, we've stuck all that in the pot, and this is what it's looking like right now. And it's just corn mixed with beans, and it has tomatoes in there. It's nice and thick and hearty. Now, remember what I said, that the same thing that makes this recipe good is also what makes it bad? Because the bad part is now you have to use your imagination. Every time I do one of these sessions, one of the things that I tell everybody and try to leave you with is, regardless of whether you like to cook all the time or just like to cook every now and then, invest in some spices. They don't have to be anything particular, and you don't have to go to a particular store. They have spices at the Dollar Tree, at the 99-cent store, at Big Lots, at the grocery outlet, at every grocery store you go to. You know, find some spices, and don't be afraid to go out on a limb and try it. Just because it says chicken spice doesn't mean you can only use it on chicken. Take your chicken spice, try it on some potatoes, try it on some roasted vegetables or something. You know, expand once you get to where you expand your knowledge and get to where you're not afraid to actually try new things. You'll be really amazed at the things you come up with. So for this particular recipe, on the written recipe, it asks for the beans, it asks for the corn, it asks for the tomatoes. The only seasoning that asks for is chili powder. And so I put some chili powder in there. And because that's what the recipes, that's all it stood for, I'm gonna go ahead and let this cook and simmer, because you want to bring all the flavors together. I'm gonna go ahead and let this simmer while we work on our next recipe. Okay, our next recipe is for those of you that have a little sweet tooth. And they call this one, this is just a 5-item recipe. And they call it a Tongan salad because it's made out of tropical fruits and stuff. To me, it's just a tropical fruit salad. And this one has pineapple, banana, mango, and coconut. And then it has a lime, just lime juice as a dressing. So it's a very easy salad to put together, but if that's not what you like, all it is a fruit salad. It's a fruit salad. You could use watermelon, you could use your cantaloupe, your pineapple, you could use berries, grapes. There literally is no wrong way to cook. Cooking is just making what you like. And don't be afraid to get in your kitchen and try and just throw something together. So I have in this bowl diced pineapple. I pre-diced it so I wouldn't have to take up a lot of time dicing it. And it's bananas. I took 2 bananas and just cut them into circles. And I'm gonna put the banana slices in there with the pineapple. Now it asks for mangoes. And what I wanted to do, because a lot of people may not know how, I wanted to actually take the time today to show you an easy way to cut or slice a mango. And this is what a mango looks like. They also have, other variety of mangoes that turn more yellow or more red. This is one of the ones that stays kind of green. And with your mango, you have to remember that it has a pit that runs the whole length of the mango. And it's very hard to cut through. In fact, it's almost impossible to cut through even with a chef's knife. So I'm just going to use a paring knife today to show you an easy way. And I usually stand it. You see, this is the part that came off the tree. I'm going to stand it up on this side. And all I'm going to do is take my paring knife and go down the side of the mango. And see, I got down, here's your seed right here. Here's the first part of your seed. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, if you hit the seed, your knife is going to stop. And so here's this one. And again, here's the seed right here. The easy way to cut it, because mangoes, when they're really ripe, if you try to hold them, your fingers go all into the fruit and it kind of smushes and bruises the fruit. The easy way to do it is take it with the rind on. If you're going to dice it, take your paring knife, just score it inside the actual mango like this. Turn it sideways, because we're going to use diced mango for this. See, so I'm cutting it. I didn't cut it through the skin, but it's done on that side. Then you take it and turn it up like this. And see how your little squares, see how your little bites come up? Take your paring knife and just slice it across off the bottom. It gives you good dices without bruising your fruit. And it uses almost all the mango that's on the thing. If you wanted, you could cut it a little shorter. This is nice, you guys. This is a shame you can't smell this, plus this chili, it smells really good for it just to be a couple items. And see, the thing is, as easy as I'm doing it, there's no trick to it. Just as I'm doing it, you can do the same thing. There's no secrets or anything else. You're just taking 3 canned items, putting them in a pot, throwing some of your favorite seasonings in there to make it taste good. And you just want to, you're letting it simmer, because simmering it is what's going to bring all the flavors together. Okay, the second half of the mango, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Now, if I want to slices instead of dices, I would just do it this way and slice it thin across there, turn it inside out and do the same thing. And the thing about slicing it, if you're going to use mango slices instead of dices, when you turn it inside out, by it being curved like that, your corners of your mango should actually rise up. So all you have is the piece, the part in the middle that's kind of stuck that you have to slice away. So I'm going to go ahead and finish scoring these. Again, I'm going to turn it inside out. So it's like this. And see, there's all my dices right there. And I'm going to take my paring knife. And just go ahead and do it like this and get my dices off. Okay, so that's how we're going to do that. And what you have to keep in mind, though, is that we live in California. And like right now in California, we're experiencing a drought. And I don't know if this has happened to any of you, but there have been quite a few times when I've went to the grocery store and gotten fresh fruit, or at least it was fruit that I thought was fresh, but when you open it up or when you bite it or cut into it, it's not quite ripe yet, even though the outside looks like it's ripe. And sometimes it's bitter, sometimes it's hard. And if you get something like that that's kind of bitter, when you're making a fruit salad, try something else. Like this dressing is just a little lime juice. If the fruit is a little bitter, I can take the lime juice, I can add a drop of honey to it, and that will make it a little sweeter. You can use that on your fruit. You could use something, what people don't realize is that bottled salad dressing isn't just for salads. You can use it as a meat marinade. You could use it as a salad dressing. You could take like a raspberry vinaigrette or a balsamic vinaigrette and put it in a fruit. And those dressings alone, they pair wonderful with fruit. They pair very well with fruit. You could take your raspberry vinaigrette, marinate your chicken or whatever, good stuff. But you know, it's something that you have to keep in mind. It's something that you have to not be afraid to try. You know, just because it says that if you watch TV, you'll find a lot of chefs that tell you that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to cook this way, you have to cook that way. But when I was younger, I was told that you cannot fry a turkey. There's no such thing as fried turkey. And what are they doing now? They're frying turkey. So just because somebody hasn't thought of it yet, that doesn't mean it can't be done. So I'm telling you, find what you like and do your thing. You know, don't worry about what they say can and can't be done. It's more important that you know how to judge when your meat is done or how long to cook it than it is to try to figure out, well, can I roast the turkey or can I fry a turkey or what do I have to do? Because now from what I understand, I've never tried it, but I've heard you could even cook a turkey in a microwave. You know, like I said, I've never done it. And I'm not quite sure if I would eat it because just because I don't see how that would work, but I'm told that it can be done, and I've talked to people who have done it. So, I mean, maybe one day I'll be brave enough to try this, not today. So with our tropical fruit salad, we have our bananas and our coconut and our pineapple. We don't have the coconut. Here's the coconut right here. And it asks for 3 tablespoons of coconut. You know, as you can see, I'm not one for measuring. It's like, just, if you like coconut, put coconut in there and put as much coconut as you like. This is a real basic salad. A little bit of lime juice that actually adds for about 2 tablespoons. And in all actuality, this is all there is to the salad. That's all it is. It didn't take but maybe 5-10 minutes, and that's what me talking all through the thing. And so if you have the ability to do stuff like this, it's healthy, it's easier, and you don't have to worry about what you're getting because you know what you're putting in it. You know, and don't be afraid to embellish your chili. This is a great vegetarian chili as it is, but you can also take and put chicken in it. You could put beef in it, ground beef, ground pork. You could put, if you're a seafood person, you could put some seafood in there. You know, even as far as chicken, you could put grilled chicken in there. You could put chicken nuggets in there. You know, all kids love chicken nuggets. If they see you put them in there, the kids are going to eat it because they got chicken nuggets in there. You know, so it's all about figuring out what you like, trying to make it how you like it. Your seasonings, you know, I put chili powder in here, but this would taste good with like a Cajun seasoning, maybe an Italian seasoning. If you want a little kick to it, you could get like a chipotle seasoning or something like that. You know, it's all in you deciding what kind of flavors you like and use them a little bit at first, put a little bit in there, taste it. If you wanted to have stronger flavor, a little bit more and taste it. You know, taste it as you go along and make sure that you are making something that you like. And then the good thing about it is like with this chili, and this is what it looks like. It's nice and hearty. Let me throw some in a bowl. See, this doesn't make a very saucy chili, but if you wanted more sauce to it, it's just a matter of adding a bit more tomatoes. You can add, if you don't want to add all tomatoes, you can add like a tomato sauce. You could even add like a pasta sauce. You know, they make the Hunt's pasta sauces and the Del Monte pasta sauces. Some of them have mushrooms, some of them have garlic and herb. Try that with something like this. That would be wonderful. And it'll give you a saucy chili. And the thing is, regardless of what kind of store you go to, I'm sure that you could find a store that helps you make this for about $3. A can of corn, $1 somewhere. A bag of corn, frozen corn, Winco or something like that, it's $1. You know, go get $1 can of corn, $1 bag of beans or whatever, a can of tomato product, that's $1. Your spices, you're just grabbing them off the spice rack. And if you go to a fast food store or a fast food restaurant, there isn't a fast food restaurant anywhere that I can think of that you could have something this filling for $3. And it actually makes enough for you to have some, and you can have some for your friend or whatever. But if you go to McDonald's, you might be sharing a hamburger. You know, so this is a lot easier. It's a cost-efficient option. With this with your salad is a little more costly because mangoes are a little more expensive and whole pineapple is expensive. You can make this with canned pineapple, but you would have to keep in mind that canned pineapple is canned in juice. And a lot of times, because of the way they pick it and process it or whatever, it may be a little sweeter. So you have to keep in mind that some things, may be a little sweeter or a little bitter, and adjust things accordingly. If it's too sweet, then add a little bit of lemon juice to cut the sweetness, a little bit of lime juice to cut the sweetness. If it's not sweet enough, you can add a little bit of honey. You can add a little bit of sugar, not a lot, just a little bit. Or you can actually change the lemon juice or the lime juice and put orange juice in it or something like that. You know, there are all kinds of things that you could do to raise up or intensify your flavors. The thing is, you not being afraid to go out there and try that. And as you're trying it, you know, think about the things that you could substitute. You don't like pineapple, like I said, use honeydew, cantaloupe, something like that. You could use grapes, cherries, strawberries, blueberries. There's all kinds of things in between there that you could use to make this taste good. And depending on your substitutions, even something like this salad I made for about $5. And that's with the fresh pineapple and the mango and stuff. Of course, you know, I went to like the 99-cent store, stuff like that. But still, if you go to a regular grocery store, you could still make it and it won't be an expensive option for the amount of product that you get. And that's one of the things you have to keep in mind when you go to like the store versus a restaurant or something like that. Whereas you're paying the same amount that you pay for a value meal or like a Big Mac meal or a combo meal or something like that. That same amount of money, you could go and you could get something like this. And you get twice as much food than you would with, I mean, do you really want to share a Big Mac? You may not want to do that, but you could go grab some fruit and throw you together a fruit salad, and there's some for you, some for a friend, maybe some for the next morning. You know, it stretches a lot, and that comes in handy, especially if you're a college student and you got to go to work and everything, and you don't have a lot of time, and you're paying your own bills and you got to make that money stretch. Or if you're a high school student and you get out of school and you got to go to football practice and baseball practice and stuff, and by the time you get home, you really don't want to do a lot of cooking. You know, you can take and throw everything in a pot and put it on the stove on low heat while you go take a shower. Then when you come out to shower, your food is done and you're ready to eat. Take it and pair it with maybe a green salad or some like cheese toast or something like that, and you're all good to go. It's a good meal for a minimum amount of money.
Chef T, sorry. We had a couple questions, or there's a question, a comment. Yeah. So one question was, can we add dried fruit to the fruit salad?
Yes, you can add dried fruit, but you want to be careful of the type you add. Like you could do, they do dried apricots and stuff like that. You have to watch for stuff like banana chips that don't really get softer once you dry them out. They're hard and they have a tendency to be sharp when they break and stuff. You want to watch out for stuff like that. But like craisins or raisins or any kind of, maybe even if you wanted to switch up some of your fresh fruit, and then you can probably even put some like dried pineapple or something in it. That would be good with actual fresh fruit. If I was doing this salad myself, I'm not a big banana person and I'm not a mango person either. I love pineapples. But with my pineapples, I would just take and I put some maybe some grapes and some cherries, because I like grapes and cherries, and I like peaches and plums. I would put them in there. I would even, because I like crunchy apples, I might even cut up some crunchy apples and put them in there. And all that works, even with the bananas and stuff. And simple hint, if you are using other fruits and your desire is to use them and cut them up without them getting brown, take your apples per gallon of water, just a teaspoon of salt in a gallon of water. That's just a little bit of salt. Put your apples in there for like 5 minutes, just let them soak. Drain them, rinse them out. Your apples will stay, your diced apples, they will not turn brown for a couple days. I do it all the time and put them in my refrigerator. And that actually works. You wouldn't think that just that amount of salt would actually keep your fruit from browning, but it does. It does.
I actually have some similar questions. So like, I'm a really busy, I work full time, I'm a mom and all that. And I feel like when I buy fresh fruit and vegetables, by the time I go to use them, they're like bad if I don't use them that day. And it's expensive. So
They are.
Now it's like the prices of everything are going up. So do you have any tips on kind of which fruit and veggies last longer and keep them in the refrigerator? Like, one thing I saw is if you put berries, so if you buy them in the package they come in, but then you mix them and you put them in a jar with a lid, that they'll actually last longer in the refrigerator. So
Not
I didn't
necessarily.
know.
Berries, when I buy berries, I buy them in the plastic things. I take them home, no water at all. I pick food and make sure everything in there is right. As long as there are no soft spots or anything else. If they have the brown spots where 1 or 2 are starting to get overripe, take them out and throw them away, or put them in a jar to use as a jelly or something. But as long as the other ones, they're dry and they're in there where they can get air, they'll stay for about a week. I just did that last week. I bought berries on like Sunday and I didn't use them till Friday. And they all say they were just as pretty and red when I went to use them as they were when I picked them out.
Okay, great. And any other tips for like which vegetables kind of last longer? Or I know also, buying canned or frozen, they'll obviously last longer and you're still getting the vegetables. So that's good. But
yeah, but fresh vegetables, depending on how you store them, have a pretty decent shelf life too. I buy a lot of broccoli and Brussels sprouts and stuff because those are the kind of vegetables I eat. And they also last in the refrigerator a good 7 days. If I'm going to keep them longer than a week, then I'll take them home, and within the next couple of days, I'll break them down and take them, blanch them in water real quick and put them in the freezer so that they'll hold on a little longer, because I know that I'm going to have them for a while. And that's basically with anything. If I know that I've gotten too much and that I'm going to need it to hold for a while, I'm going to freeze it. Even like with the strawberries, as long as you freeze them and you don't put them in any water, just put them in a bag and freeze them. And then when you thaw them in the refrigerator for like a day or so, slowly thaw them. They'll come back and they'll be a little soft and they'll retain a little water, but they won't be as bad as they will if you just try to hold them in the refrigerator all that time. Or if you put them in water or something like that, they won't be as good as you do that. Any more questions?
well, maybe some other participants are thinking of questions. I want to know who's going to eat that food right now because it looks really good. I'm hungry.
And remember, spices, herbs and spices. You can never have too many herbs and spices. They come in handy for all kinds of things. You can put herbs and spices in this fruit salad and it'll change the flavor a little bit, but it'll still taste good. I mean, can you imagine all this fresh fruit with a little bit of Italian seasoning in it, or with a little bit of chives in it, or something like that, with a little bit of, they make this garlic and Parmesan seasoning, you know, something like that. I went to the store yesterday and just messing around, I saw this jar and all it said is wood fire garlic. I don't know what it is, but it looked good. So now it's at my house on my counter. And I don't know what it is, but when I use it, I'll be sure to let people know what it tastes like. But don't be afraid to just go grab some spices and experiment a little.
Trader Joe's has a lot of pretty inexpensive, fun spice mixtures too. So that's another place. So we had one more question. Oh, there was a comment that you're awesome. So thank you. And then if you had any other kind of quick, inexpensive snack ideas. Any food snack ideas.
I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of different food snacks. Like I've become the jerky queen in my house. I love making jerky. And I even like, I'm one of those, I like to get products and use them for things other than what they're for. Like I'll buy a box of cake mix. I'll make cookies out of it. I'll make pancakes out of it. I'll make waffles out of it. And you know, my grandkids think I'm just wonderful because it's like, what are we having for breakfast? Oh, we're having cake mix pancakes. And you know, and that's what we do. Make pancakes out of cake mix. Instead of putting frosting on it, put some fresh fruit and everything, and you're good to go. And like I said, you'd be surprised how much you could get kids to eat chicken nuggets just by changing the way you do it. Chicken nuggets Parmesan, chicken nuggets in salad, chicken nuggets in quesadilla. All you got to do is tell them we got chicken nuggets on it, and they'll fall over backwards trying to eat the chicken nuggets.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really informative.
Thank you.
And wonderful. So thank you to Chef T, to Mylin and Ariana. I don't know if Ariana is gone yet. Oh no, she's still here, Ariana. So thank you so much to the Health Education Council, and we'll be seeing you all in person this Thursday as well. And I just really appreciate all of your knowledge. That was wonderful. So we are going to take a quick 5-minute break before we start our yoga session. So don't sign out if you can, but if you need to go use the restroom, please do that now. And then we'll come back and we will do a yoga instruction session for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to put in the chat the website for links to our other sessions, and then my email address if you have any other questions. And okay, thanks, Jessica. I mean, you could, but it's up to you. So, and again, we'll make this available on our website. So if you want to view the yoga later, you can do that as well. And then stick around. If you have any questions, I can always get them to the Health Education Council. I think in the beginning there was some contact information, but if you want to put that in the chat again, just for participants that came in a little bit later. Okay, so we will see everyone at 4:25, and then we'll get started on our last part of the session.
Oh, a question just came into the chat. Does Sal have a website for food recipes?
That is a great question. I don't know. I don't know if Chef T, did you hear the question?
Yes, I heard it. I thought
Okay.
it was for Sal.
Oh, no, I think because the login is Sal. But Sal, yes, if you have suggestions also, that's great. But Chef T, I think it was directed to you. If you have any ideas of websites that are easy, and it's something we can even send out later to everyone, if there's.
Yeah, I have some, and I'll get them together. I'll actually be at the presentation on Thursday. So, if anybody wants to come up and talk to me, I'll be able to give them more information and tell them some of the websites I use, because I use a lot of the websites that I get through the Health Education Council as well.
Okay, great. So, so a lot of the participants in today's session won't be at the in-person because, sometimes convenience or transportation. So we offered both the in-person
Okay, so
and
we'll be
the,
able to get them.
but we have their email.
or-
Yeah. So if you
yeah.
want to send it or to some Ariana or Johanna or something, and then they can send it my way and I can send it out to all of the participants
Yes,
here
I
today.
can make sure and do that.
And then, yeah, so, well, the recipe that was made today, I think if you didn't write it down, it will be on the recording. Okay. Oh, thank you. There's one, the Tongan fruit salad. Wonderful. I will definitely be making that one. Okay, if everyone can start coming on back. And then- Okay, so Sheree, I went ahead and pinned you so we can all see what you're going to show us. Yeah, and if you want to just give us an overview of what you're going to do today, and then you can, not you, Sheree, but we need to see what you're doing. Everyone else, you can have your cameras on or off or whatever you feel comfortable with.
Please.
And then we'll go through the next 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. I have been so impressed with all of the presenters before me. So yeah, I'm just super thankful to be here and be able to share this with you. The next 30 minutes is going to be very gentle yoga, very beginner focused. So whether you've done yoga before, know a little bit about it, or absolutely brand new, we're good. I do want to mention, if anyone has any pain during this session, please come out of the pose. We never want to cause pain in yoga. There might be a little bit of discomfort. Maybe you're not used to working your muscles in a certain way or stretching in a certain way, but never pain, no pain. If you caught any pain, come out of the pose. And if at any point it gets maybe just a little too much, which I don't think so, but you never know. Please come out of the pose and into a resting pose. So whether it's a child's pose, and we'll show you that, or laying on your back, your stomach, or even just sitting in a nice Sukhasana, cross-legged seat, totally fine. Again, my name is Sheree, yeah, so we're gonna get started. Normally, we'll be on yoga mats, but of course, if you're in a chair, this also works too. So please don't feel like you have to strain yourself to get on a mat. Totally fine. Also, I want to mention that yoga can be done anywhere. I mean, like you've seen these influencers on the beach, on your living room floor. This is completely fine. You don't have to have a mat or a block or these little props. Yoga is something that really comes from within, and it's not something that you need to work up to. The whole idea of yoga is coming as you are and staying on your mat. So this idea of comparing ourselves to other people and, this person's doing a headstand and this person's doing some crazy poses, we rein it in, and it's all about self and this growth and this inner dialogue that we have with ourselves, which is such a beautiful thing that I think we get really lost with, especially in today's society where we're posting pictures and, all of this cool stuff, but bringing it back in. So I invite you now to find a comfortable seated position, and we'll just start connecting with our breath and just start realizing how our body's feeling in this moment. And if a cross-legged pretzel is a little bit too much, feel free to put your soles of your feet together, maybe a little wider. I like to sit on a block. It helps my pelvis. My hips are usually pretty tight. So sitting on a block or a pillow or a blanket, a folded up blanket, kind of tilts our pelvis forward a little bit. But we still want to keep a natural curve of our spine. So we don't want to really be sitting up, up here and arching our back up, but we don't want to be, slouchy either. Finding a nice, comfortable, neutral spine is our goal in a seated position. And I feel like seated positions, it looks easy, you just like get on the floor, and it's not for a lot of people. So finding what works for you in any pose is what we're going for. I'll offer modifications as we're going. Please take them as you feel free, as you feel fit in your body, and listen to your body and what it needs. So again, coming into a seated position, letting your arms rest wherever they feel comfortable, and closing down our eyes. And begin noticing your breath flowing in and out of your body. We'll begin our session today with Ujjayi breathing. Ujjayi breathing is based on ocean breathing. It's another word for it. And it's a calming breath. So our inhales are coming in through our nostrils, exhaling out our mouth to begin. And when we're pushing out that breath, it should be like we're fogging up a mirror. So that same sensation, the cooling, almost a vibration in the back of our throats. So once we get that sensation, that inhaling through our nose, maybe to a count of 3, 4, or 5, exhaling through our mouth. Our exhales are going to be a little longer. So if you're inhaling for maybe 4, a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 5 or 6. So inhaling, exhaling. And continue with that beat just for a moment. And when you feel that you found your rhythm, begin to close your mouth, but have that same sensation of the air flowing in through your nostrils, but now out through your nostrils as well. And those longer exhales are going to provide a really calming sensation in our bodies. It's going to put our parasympathetic nervous system on relax. So we're coming down, we're dropping down into our pose, into our body, continuing with our breath. Now you can begin doing some gentle neck rolls. So bringing our head down really slowly. And so often we carry so much stress and the weight of the world, the weight of our day on our shoulders. Maybe there's a little part that's maybe a little juicier than others, and you want to give it a little extra time, maybe flowing back and forth. Maybe one of the sides is tighter than the other. If you haven't yet, reversing sides, bringing it down and around again. Now beginning with some shoulder rolls. Start rolling our shoulders back and down, sliding them down our back. I find myself, especially when I'm at my desk for a long time, my shoulders will come up to my ears and I'll be all scrunchy. So we really want to bring our shoulders down away from our ears. And even that slight little movement just feels so great, giving that upper back some relief. Doing some shoulder rolls. If you haven't yet, reversing sides. So moving our shoulders forwards. Now bringing our arms out to a T. The palms of our hands are facing upwards and beginning some small circles, small arm circles. Forwards. And then taking our right hand, we'll place it underneath or across our body. Left hand coming up and over around us, giving ourselves a nice little hug. But we're really stretching our shoulder blades out. So we can feel that stretch in our upper back. And pausing here just for a moment to refocus on our breath. On your next exhale, releasing our hands back to a T and reversing sides. So we're going to be doing little circles backwards. Now we'll bring our left arm across our body, right arm over, and again, giving ourselves a nice little hug. Switching sides, it kind of feels a little different on our back. Again, refocusing on our breath. Maybe thinking about how your day is going. Maybe there's something, an email, a voicemail, something that you need to do that's on your mind. Just set it down. The next 20-ish minutes, there's nowhere else that you need to be but right here, right now. Breathing and just being. Releasing our arms down to our sides. We'll place our right hand down on our mat or floor, bringing our left arm up and over. We'll feel that stretch in our left side body. See if you can send your next inhale towards this open space. So breathing in deeply and exhaling. Lengthening our shoulder and our ear, that distance away. So maybe opening up our heart space will naturally provide that extra space. And on your exhale, lowering your left arm down beside you. Right arm comes up and over. And we'll mimic that same sensation on our right side, opening up and breathing into our right side body. Again, lifting our chest up. We'll naturally bring our shoulders down away from our ears. On your next exhale, lowering your right arm down beside you. If you aren't in this position yet, taking the soles of our feet together in a butterfly position. So this is really great for our hips. And I know for me, I work at a desk normally 9 to 5. And, this epidemic of sitting has really caused some stress on all of our hips. So giving them an extra love is very, very nice. So from this position, we'll sit up nice and straight, nice and tall, imagining there's a little string coming up from our head. And we're going to bend at our hips. We don't want to bend down so our back starts to arch. We want to bend from our hips. So we're gently lowering and to wherever your body tells you this is good. Mine's about right here. The tighter your hips are, the less range of motion you will have. So, around here is good for me. And I can really feel it, in my hip flexors. This is what works for me. Remembering to breathe. And if you'd like to put your hands on the floor in front of you, that totally works too, or on a blanket, on a pillow. And slowly releasing the pose, coming up to a neutral seated position once again. We'll take our right hand and place it on our hip flexors, and our left hand will come around doing a gentle twist. So twists are really great for aiding in digestion. So after we ate Miss T's great, fabulous meal, our digestive juices are flowing, and any sort of twist where our abdominal muscles are twisting is really going to be great in helping us digest our food efficiently and properly. And releasing this pose back to center. We'll come and do the left side. So right arm coming over across our body, placing it on our knee. We really don't want to push too much and maybe hyperextend ourselves, but we do want to give it, a firm grasp. And releasing the pose, coming back to a neutral spine. I invite you now to come onto hands and knees. And this position is called table. So true to its name, we'll make our body look like a table. So in doing this, our shoulders typically want to be in line with our wrists. If you have wrist pain or maybe they're inflamed, I teach prenatal yoga as well, and a lot of the times our joints are swollen. So if it feels better for you to move your hands forward of your shoulders in front of you, that's totally fine. Same goes for our knees and our hips. Knees should be stacked below our hips. If that does not feel good in your body, moving your hips maybe a little bit wider so that you have a steadier base, totally fine too. And that feels good in my body, so I'm gonna stay here. Planting our hands nice and firmly on the ground. The tops of our feet will be on the floor as well. As we come and make a neutral spine, we're gazing down at our floor, at our mat, so our spine is really, really straight. And holding this pose, it seems easy, but again, for those of us who sit all day long, it's not really a position that we're in all the time. And from here, we'll transition into our cat and cow series. So our cat series, on our exhale, we'll empty out our breath and round our spines as we look towards our belly button. So a nice rounded spine, creating a really deep stretch in our upper back or mid back. And on your exhale, or on your inhale, pardon me, inhaling up and big, we create a dip in our spine as we're gazing upwards, and our bottom is pushing up and back behind us to create that dip in our spine. So inhaling, we always get big. Exhaling, we come inwards, emptying out our lungs. Inhaling up, getting big. Exhaling inwards. And I'd like you to continue to the beat of your breath. Inhaling upwards. Exhaling inwards. And once you're done, finding a neutral spine once again, we'll bring our right arm out long in front of us. Thumb is pointing up to the ceiling. And if you can, taking your left leg out long behind you. Foot is in flexion, so our toes are pointing down to the ground. So we're really balancing, using our core strength here to balance on our left arm and right leg. And on our exhale, we'll bring it in, curling in towards our midline, and then sending our arms out straight in front of us, leg sending back. And releasing the pose, arms and legs down to the mat, finding a neutral spine once again. Here, if you'd like to do some figure eights with our hips, please take the time to do so if you'd like. Using our core strength really tires us out. It's a lot of work. So be gentle to your body and listen to what it needs. So figure eight with our hips, just using our hips to guide us, coming down, maybe up higher, feels good in your body. Moving really organically, intuitively, what feels good in your body. And once again, finding a neutral spine, we'll take our left arm out in front of us, thumbs up towards the ceiling, sending our right leg back behind us. Again, toes in flexion, so they're pointing down towards our mat. And on your exhale, we'll curl in towards our midline, trying to keep a neutral hip as well. So we're not dipping down to the side, keeping them in line, and then sending them out long. And releasing towards our mat. We'll take a resting pose here. So for child's pose, the traditional child's pose, our knees together, coming over our knees down towards our mat, and head resting either on the backs of our hands or possibly on a block. In my body, I live in a larger body, so this doesn't feel good for me. I like to take my knees out wide to make room for my belly, and coming down feels so much easier, less stress on my back, and lowering down to where it feels comfortable. You can have your toes touching behind you, but this pose is meant to be restorative, to be restful, and to re-find your breath. So centering back with your inhales, longer exhales. We'll take 3 more breaths here. Coming out of child's pose, we'll come on to our hands and knees once again, and we'll untuck our toes and send our hips back and up. So pressing into our hands, sending our hips up and back. We're now in a downward facing dog. So very popular yoga term, yoga pose. My little 21-month-old loves to do it. It's his favorite. But my hamstrings are very tight. So pedaling or walking our dog, moving our feet up and down, really provides a stretch and some relief to our hamstrings behind our legs. So our yoga poses don't necessarily have to be static. We don't have to be statues. We can be moving, again, listening to what our body needs. And in this pose, our hands are firmly planted on the ground. we can be up high on the balls of our feet, or our legs can be straight and our whole foot is on our mat or on the ground. But our bottom is pushing back behind us as our hands are pushing out in front of us. So it's almost like we could rip our mat in half with that tension. Again, sliding our shoulders away from our ears as much as possible. In transitioning here, we'll come into a dolphin pose. So a dolphin, our arms, our forearms come down onto the mat, and our hips are up and back. This one might be a little bit easier or harder, depending on your body's anatomy. Releasing the pose, gently pressing our knees into the ground. We'll walk our hands behind us and sitting on our knees. We're in hero's pose. So I love this pose, more so for the name. I think that people really undervalue themselves. So this is a really reflective pose to surrender to ourselves and getting out of our own way on a lot of things. So in hero's pose, relaxing our shoulders back and down, breathing deeply. And taking a moment to think about how you can be kind. How can we be compassionate today? Even if it's to ourselves, to our partner, to our animals. What's one thing that we can do today to be kind and compassionate? On our next exhale, I invite you to stand. I try not to do a lot of standing up and sitting down and standing up and sitting down, especially when our camera doesn't, move with us. So hopefully this will show. But I invite you to stand now. And coming into a mountain pose. So a mountain pose looks a lot like just standing, but our feet are going to be about hip width apart. If you'd like to do them maybe together, if that works in your body, great. Otherwise, hip width is the goal. And really planting down into that earth. Feel it rebounding up to meet you. We have a slight micro bend in our knees. Our shoulders are rolling back and down, and our hands are beside us, thumbs pointing out. And again, imagining that we have an invisible string pulling us up, lengthening our spine. Breathing deeply into this pose. And creating this sense of self. And you are here right now on this call, and you are right where you need to be. On your next inhale, we'll press into our feet, inhaling, sweeping our arms up in front of us or above us for an upward salute. Sinking our hips back and down, we'll come into a chair pose. So it looks like if we were to be sitting in a chair, that's what it would look like, our imaginary chair. And this is going to turn your legs on real quick. And on our exhale, hands flowing through heart center, releasing the pose and coming into a forward fold. So a forward fold we still have the micro bend in our knees, but we're letting our neck hang freely. And releasing any tension that we have in our upper body, letting our arms hang slack in front of us. And if you'd like to take hold of each elbow, you can sway back and forth in a pose called a ragdoll. And you can feel the back of your legs turn on for sure as you sway back and forth. And seeing if you can soften your neck just a little bit more. Can you relax those shoulders just a little more? We're going to place our hands on our mat out in front of us and coming into a straddle. So not all the way down by any means, but a wide-legged stance. Our arms are going to be out in front of us. It doesn't look like, well, we can kind of turn it down a little bit. There we go. In a straddle stance, our arms are out in front of us, and we're placing equal pressure on our hands as our feet. So we're in kind of a four-legged position here. And if you'd like a deeper stretch, you can walk your hands back as far as your body will let you. It really stretches the back of our legs. And walking our hands forward. Again, placing equal pressure on our hands and our feet. And then we'll begin to bend our knees down to the ground. Once again, finding a comfortable sitting position, whatever that looks like in your body. When we begin to close our eyes down once again, hands relaxed wherever it feels comfortable, and finding our breath. And on closing, the hands to heart center. On our exhale, if you'd like to chant with me, we'll say one universal sound of the universe, Om, on our exhale. Om. Namaste. Thank you all so much. I hope you learned something. If not, well, I hope you did, but if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'll leave my email in the chat. Let's see.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
That was wonderful. And I hope that for those of you who maybe this was your first experience with yoga, that you feel like it's something approachable that anyone can do, because it certainly is. And it can just, even if it's a shorter time, you know, a few minutes, that's all you have, it can really change your day.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. And
No problem.
thank you for everyone that joined us today. I really hope you did learn something, how to, you know, when you come into contact with that food advertising, tobacco advertisements, how to make some simple meals on a budget, and how to take care of yourself with some basic yoga. So I think I will see several of you next week in our next session, and maybe even some of you in person later this week. And I am going to end with putting yet another survey in the chat. If you have a moment to click on it and answer a few questions, this does help us, learn and grow, and what we can change to do better next time, or what you want to see, and also to continue funding through grants through the state library. So thank you everyone so much, and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you for attending Adult 101 Life Skills for Teens, Healthy Living with the Health Education Council. This workshop was made possible by funding from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. So thank you for that funding. Like Crystal said, please take a moment to fill out the survey linked in the chat so that we can continue offering programs like this in the future and learn how to make them even better, if you can imagine that. If you are not already signed up for upcoming sessions of this workshop series, please check out our webpage at saclibrary.org/adult 101. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Oh, and last thing, actually, all of you that Monica did take attendance, and will match your name with your email address that you registered with. Make sure you get your digital certification out to you if you requested it. So, okay, thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you to our captioner as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan.